we'll go a little bit more deep into what the engine is behind generating those scripts. Okay. So we'll go to Customize tab, and we'll talk about this tab for a moment. Now, starting with get the metadata, there are two options here. Getting the metadata from Navision. We can press that button now, no problem. It will show how we are reading Navision database for metadata, and then we're writing everything into our SQL database. We're updating some field lengths, so that is depending on which field lengths do you have in the database. And then it will conclude. Now, this step that you already know, so write metadata to SQL database. This is the one that I forgot to mention, but when we get the actual metadata, and you have already seen it here, as a result, we also write it into the SQL database. But not only that, we also store it into the instance file, and this is where the setup folder comes in. Okay, the setup folder, metadata, and you should be able to see a file which has around 3 to 5 megabytes in size. So we also store it here. Now, why do we do that? Just one simple reason, because if the customer's database is really large, you have a lot of additional fields and tables and so on, this may take some time. Now, for us on the Kronos databases, this is about a minute or so, nothing much. But once we get that, we write it into the instance folder, and then we can choose the other way of loading the metadata within the memory of the application when we actually use it later on. Okay, so the update from instance folder will utilize this file and load it to memory. If we choose from Navision, it will read it from Navision directly and again load it to memory. So we have it available within the application. Okay, so this is the get metadata part. Now the reload wizard sources part, it's another button that doesn't say much, but if you press that, so here is where half of the magic happens, where we adapt, in memory, we read from metadata, and then we adapt the wizard files according to that. Okay, the wizard files. If I go to customer, we can see BI4 tabular dimension. So this is what we called a wizard file. Now, let me back up a little bit. So you heard before that when we do deploy, we deploy those files to the SQL server. So this is true for folder 1, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, and 5. So the stage, the data warehouse, dimension and facts, and the cubes. Now, the wizard files are the files that we read in the application itself. It tells us what we have done in the wizard section that we'll head over just now. Okay, so they're only kind of a setup files that we use. We don't deploy those to the server, but they're only for use within the BI4 Dynamics. I think if we open them, they're even, they have some properties inside as well, but we'll not go this deep at the moment. Okay, so metadata, the wizard files, okay, those files, and then we'll go to manage dimensions, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. Everybody clear on that? So the metadata we get from either Navision or from instance, and then we reload wizard files where we adapt those files in folder 6 to use it within the application. Saurabh, you had a question?
Yes, on the metadata. So there are two places from where we can import the metadata, right? So in the SQL you showed a table where you have all the field lengths and everything stored there. So this is going to be updated, right? I mean, when you click on get metadata, right?
That is absolutely correct, but only if you get it from Navision. Okay.
All right.
When you say update, right? When we first read it from Navision, we first get it and then store it here, right? And then also have it on the SQL server right here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from, and then when we switch from to instance folder, where we will only get it from here and write it onto the SQL server.
Okay.
So the Navision part is left out if we choose this option because it's quicker to load it. Now, if the customer are doing some customizations from Navision and the customizations that they have done is not reflecting what we're seeing in our project, it means we need to get metadata from Navision again. So it means that something changed in Navision and we have to get the metadata from Navision again. Okay?
Yes.
So that's the only difference there.
Okay.
Okay, and when we have the metadata, like I've said, we reload wizard sources. This is the part where we prepare the setup files for the wizard to be used in BI4 Dynamics. And let's go, straight into manage dimensions, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so these are the dimensions that are coming from, again, folder 6. Okay, if I filter this by type, you will see we have a lot of dimension here. Account schedules, account schedule, business unit, cash flow account, okay? So all of the properties, so this is basically a file that saves the properties that we have done in BI4 Dynamics folder, in BI4 Dynamics application, sorry. Good, let's have a look at customer. Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with creating a data warehouse by itself. I'm not talking BI4 Dynamics here. I'm just talking a data creation of the data warehouse. So what you would do in creating a data warehouse, you would have, of course, first the source. The source for us is BC, and you would take that table. You would put the data somewhere else in some views or whatever. So you would do something with it. So you will transform the data and then you will load it somewhere else. So this is the ETL process. Probably you've all heard of it, right? Now this can be done in many ways, technically speaking. Usually you have Management Studio, you write the scripts manually, and you do what you have to do there. Now, in BI4 Dynamics, we designed the application to for the really broad audience, and it's important to know our customers come from variety of fields, and even the free trial request that we get from different people. Let's say, okay, so you have in a company, you have a data warehouse developer, and he says, okay, this is too much for me, or maybe even 3 other guys. Let's see what kind of solutions are there on the market that already has that data warehouse built, and they find us. So those are technical people that will understand what we're going through right now. There are 2 other types of people. Ones are, someone that is doing some report in sales, so salespeople or finance people, and they have absolutely no clue about what data warehouse is, how the data is coming into their reports and so on. Okay, no clue. And then the third kind of people are maybe Navision developers that knows Navision really well, but can't really figure out how or what would be the best way to build the reports for the customer. Okay, they know how to develop Navision according to what the customer needs, but other than that, they're basically clueless. Okay, so we have three kinds of people, and all the people in between, of course, some with technical knowledge and some without technical knowledge. And then they get our product, and they would come, they would see that we already have a customer dimension built. And they would say, okay, they will go to reports, they will have their proof of concept. They will have their proof of concept, and they would come here and they would look at the reports. Let me just get rid of this one. Currency we don't need. Okay, company we don't need here. Doesn't matter. And they will look just at the customer dimension. Customer, build to customer, okay. Customer, okay. They will look at this at the end result, okay. This is net sales by customers. And they will take a look at the customer dimension, and they would say, okay, you have a lot of nice fields here that are, 20, 25, 30 fields that are really good, but we need something else from the vision. As we remember from, this session, not all of the fields are selected, right? If we go here to the customer, we still have additional fields that can be selected and the customer would like to report on. The ones that are selected is basically defined by us, using our experience, that we kind of know which are the most common fields to report on from the customer table. So those are included. If something is not included, the customer will say, okay, so we need to do that. Okay, and then again, remember the three types of people that we have. You have a Navision developer, and he would say, okay, the customer required to use this field in Navision. I have created it in Navision or BC, and now you guys have to implement it in the project. Then we have the the clueless people that will only look at the reports, and they will say, where is my some field that I'm missing? I need that. Okay. And of course, then we have the technical people that the data warehouse developers that kind of know how to do it in Management Studio and how to bring it inside the project, but they don't know how to use it in BF Dynamics. And so with that in mind, we try to develop a tool in BF Dynamics that will kind of fit for all kinds of profiles and make it easier on them. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So let's go to customer, and I will say edit dimension. Okay, so the data warehouse developer will come here and he would say, okay, so you have a stage table, so information from customer, but you also use some other tables to have information about something on the customer dimension. Okay, so we're joining, left out or joining some tables. Okay. Now again, the same can be true for for other types of people. We will just tell them, okay, so apart from everything from customer table, we also include some other information from other tables, and that's all they need to know. Okay. So we have a stage table customer, and then we're joining some other tables to get some other properties. Okay, and like I said, the user will say, we're missing one of the fields, and then we say no problem. We'll come here. We'll check where do you need this information from, and he will say, I don't know where it is. I just see it in my reports. And then the Navision developer will say, okay, that information is on the customer table. Good. So that's not a problem. We already have a customer table within our model. Okay, this is called a model. And then we click next because we already have it in the customer. We already have the customer table. In the next step, we see all the fields that are here, which are not selected or not selected. Okay, this is only the selected view from all these tables that are in the model. And then they would say to us, okay, we need an additional field from a customer table. So let's just exclude everything else for now. Now, this is just for viewing purposes. You don't exclude a table from the project. It's just from this particular view. Okay, we'll just check all of them. Okay, and now we have left only the customer table. So that's pretty much the same thing as we saw in metadata. And it should be, because the whole wizard solution is based on the metadata. So if they don't have it in the metadata, you won't see it here. That can happen. It's not usual, but it can happen. Okay, maybe if the metadata table was not compiled in Navision. Never mind. So if it's not here, you will not. If it's not in metadata, you won't see it here. Now, they would say, okay, I need a field here. Any field. Okay, so we need a, sorry, I'm just looking for a specific field. Let's say something that we don't have. Okay, postcode. Now, if we check, of course, the report, we don't see any postcode here. We have city, but we don't have postcode. Maybe they would need that. Okay. And then we say, no problem. Come here. You will need postcode. Okay. We'll check both of these for now. And that's it. You will click next. Now on the next screen, you would say, okay, so postcode. Okay. It's a postcode. That's okay. But what kind of postcode is it? Is it postcode can be true for many fields in Navision. So is it the vendor? Is it, whatever. So we can rename this to customer postcode. Okay, so we know where is it coming from. And you can see here, table name is customer, field name is postcode. And we have decided that on the report, we should see customer postcode. So this is the name that we'll see. We click next. So these are the hierarchies. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we click next. And that's done. Okay, so that was easy, right? And it is easy. So for this part, but now it's only within the application. So only within the application, nowhere else, not on the project, not on SQL Server, not on reports, nowhere, just in the application. If I click save, okay, we'll check the customer. So this is again the wizard file that are defining what we see here in the wizard. We see it was just saved, right? Just now. Okay, but then these are the files that we do not deploy on the server. We are deploying the SQL scripts on the server in dimensions. Okay, if I go into customer, you would see that this was not generated. And if I would to open the create table, you would see that there is no postcode here. So if I search for it, post, okay, what do we see here? Posting group. I can do this, posting group, or if I do post code, cannot find it. It's not there yet. So this is where we do the generate. Generate will generate the scripts which we will then deploy on the server. And we'll just wait for the scripts to be generated. See, the time has already changed and it was successfully generated. Now, again, this is something that nobody else has in the world. We have an engine in the back, a lot of years of development that would bring any customizations that you decide on here to the SQL scripts to be deployed on the server. Okay, let's check the script. Okay, it was modified. And let's see where the postcode is coming in. There we go. Customer postcode. And we can see customer postcode and varchar 20. And if we check the metadata again, let's find the postcode. Okay, and field field name is, so we can find it here, and we can see the length of it is 20, exactly what we have generated just now. Okay, because we generate everything based on metadata. Now we generated the code, so we have the SQL script, but we haven't done anything yet. Still, we cannot see it on the project here. If we decide to refresh that, okay, it will still be missing from here. So build to customer, customer postcode. Yeah, we don't see it yet. That's because we haven't deployed it yet. Now, that's another great feature that we have. Of course, now you would say, okay, now we need to deploy everything to the server. And if you remember the last time that we did that, we deployed the whole project. So from start to finish. Okay, and it took some time, of course. Now, what we have here is a button called Update Now. So this will move really quickly, so I'll guide you through it. But what we effectively do here, also what we have changed here, well, I forgot, we were not only generating the SQL scripts here, but we will also generating the stage file for the customer, right? Just now, at the same time. Why? Because we have to tell the application to bring over an additional field that was not there before. So again, if we find code, okay, it's here. Again, we tell the application which field to bring in. So we have everything set up on the staging side. So the application knows it will have to bring in this particular column. We have everything on the data warehouse, right? The scripts that it needs to create that field. And then also, of course, on the cubes as a final consequence, it will also show up here. Okay, I'll not go into this because it's a big model, but you can see by the by the time here, date modified, it was just generated a few minutes ago. Okay, and then we say, as opposed to deploying and processing the whole project. Now, for us, it means the whole project means about 20 minutes of processing. For the customer, it could mean a couple of hours. Okay, depends on how much data they have. We have a variety of customers going from really small when the processing is done in a couple of minutes, like for us on the demo database. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have customers that has, I don't know, 4.5 terabyte of database. Okay, so the scalability is really important here. It doesn't really matter how much data the customer has. This procedure that we did here, we do it always the same. So if that big customer would like to deploy, so getting those scripts to the data warehouse and then process the data, the whole project, this could take for the big customer, I don't know, 16 hours, 20 hours, and they would not see that field for another day. That's why we have implemented the update now function that will only update this particular dimension. Okay, and when I click update now, it will update the dimension. It will get staging table, okay, inside. So this is still deploy. It will apply changes to analysis database. So this is deploy part, okay? And now it will move to the processing part. Well, it will bring that data for that specific field from Navision to our staging table. And then from staging tables to our data warehouse, and from data warehouse to the cubes. And you will see that this one takes a little bit longer because we have to deploy the whole analysis database, but everything else is done partially. Okay, that's done. That's done. Now we're processing stage, okay, getting in new data. already loading the customer dimension. So this is getting the data to the customer dimension, and then at the end, getting the information into analysis services. Now there is a beauty to this because we know how everything is connected within the application. We only need to do this, not anything else, not the whole project. And it took about a minute to implement a specific field. So how would of course, the data warehouse developer could do this, okay, but he would have to manually change all the procedures that are coming into the stage, right? In the stage into the data warehouse, and then manually added the analysis database as well. We do that all automatically. So what we have done here, we eliminated the need for the usage of Management Studio, Navision, right? If we have to check that because we have the information from metadata, so we can just check that. We don't need Management Studio to actually deploy the the scripts. We don't need Visual Studio then for some other project for analysis services and so on. So everything is done within here. And this is already done. And if I go here and try to refresh that, okay, we'll check more field and we should see, hopefully, customer. I'm not seeing it. Sorry, let me just check something. Maybe I did something wrong. Edit dimension. What I'll just do is look at a translation here. Sorry. Okay. Okay, that's something not to worry about here, but I'll just do customer postcode. So this comes in with, when you have demo data, not everything is as it should be, but for customer, this will work. Customer postcode, I'll go next. I'll press the update now again. Let me see if I'm on the same project even here, BC, because I have to check that. I'm not sure on which one I have.
I followed the same steps and I could see the new field added to the cube as well.
Yep, that's perfect. And what I did here is yesterday when I did a demo, so I connected to a different database. Okay, so I was not connecting to the database, but if I go to Bioinformatics BC, right, this is the one that I have here. Okay, if I change the connection here, click OK, I should see that field coming in. Okay. Let's check. Sorry, build your customer postcode. There we go. Okay, so we have a postcode inside. And also Saurabh did this on his side. So, Saurabh, you can testify to this. You have experience with other systems, right? How difficult are the customizations to bring into the project?
See, I know how much efforts it takes you to create a analysis services cube to Management Studio.
Yeah.
So I'm actually loving it, to be very honest.
Okay. So that's pretty much the same experience we get from anybody. It's not only the people that are technical, but also the salespeople that requested a field, and before they needed to go to Navision developers, and they would have to go to their data warehouse developers, and they would have to do their stuff. So we're looking for one, just for one field. We're looking at 2-3 meetings maybe, and then a couple of days of work, and then you can have it on the project, right? With BFR Dynamics, you have it within, and we say within minutes, and we're not even exaggerating here. It's literally within minutes. Okay. Okay,
Sorry, Matej. Yeah. Could you please repeat how did you come to this Excel file with the pivot tables?
Excel file with a pivot table. Yeah,
Is
sure.
it relevant at the moment?
Well, it's always relevant because you'll have what you'll do with the customers. You'll deal with the customer, but we can do that right now if necessary. So in Excel, you go to data. Okay, I'll just if somebody is doing this, I'll just wait for the minute to Excel to open. So we go to data. If we need to wait for somebody, just let me know. Okay, no. So blank page, data, get data from database, from analysis services. Okay, and when you press that, you will have the server name. So this is the same server that you have selected when creating the instance. And this is the analysis services. So for me, it's Matej/BC. For you, it should be something different. So you can see that in Management Studio. If we go back to Excel, we just do enter the server name. Next, you select the instance that you've just created. For me, it is BF Dynamics BC. And okay, I'll wait for a second so everybody can get their server ready. Okay, and when you click next, you will select the instance. This is the important part. Okay, BF Dynamics BC. And then just click finish. We will create a pivot table report and we'll click OK. On the right side, we'll have all the fields available for us. So if we just create so we'll use a show field list and we'll go down to sales values. Sales values. That will basically filter out all the rest of the fact table, so the numbers. So we'll have only sales values. We will get the net sales into the values section, or if I can only click on it or drag and drop it. Okay, and then we'll scroll down a bit, go to the customer, and add the customer attribute, 2 rows, and also the new field that we have brought over, the postcode.
Can I just make sure I get it right? So the purpose of this procedure, managing dimensions, was that some customer, in our case, let's say somebody who needs to get a report, needs information on, let's say, postcode. And generally, our application, let's say, doesn't offer it. And but this information is already contained in the customer database. And so what we do is we extract information on the variable from the customer database through metadata and add it to the BI for Dynamics and later to the, so that it would be available for creating reports and pivot tables. Is it right?
That's absolutely correct. That's all that we are doing. So when you put it like this, it's it sounds simple. Technically speaking, it could be challenging, but with the wizard functionality that we have here and with the script generating engine that we have, it becomes a really easy task. Okay, and you summed it up beautifully. So that's exactly what we're doing here. When you will have different customers, they will have different needs. Again, our out-of-the-box project is, it doesn't have all the information. It only has information that are mostly used for, the 90% of the customers, and then A lot of customers will have this simple customizations on dimensions like customer and item and so on. And by using this wizard, we can easily edit to that information to the project. We'll do the same thing again, but you can choose, I'll use the same customer dimension, but you can choose any other dimensions. So be creative here, right? So any other dimensions, okay? And I'm interested to know which dimension will you choose afterwards. Okay, I will use customer, but you can use any other dimension as well. And we'll go through this again, but in a little more details and also showing what kind of functionality we also have in the wizard, dimension wizard. It could be straightforward, like we did it now, just simple, or it can be a little bit more complicated. Okay, so we'll go to edit. Now, customer table is, of course, the leading table for the customer dimension. That's understandable. As I've said, we've added a bunch of other tables where we get the information from. Now, it could happen that a client of ours would need information that doesn't come from customer table or any other table that are already in the model here, by default. So what do we do then? So we disregarded this section at first, but this is actually the list of all the tables that are available in Navision. Okay, all the tables, and there are 1,400 tables here. Now, you see that button here, show related tables. So if we put our mouse on the leading table, okay, and click show related tables, you will notice this menu on the left will change. Okay, and it has probably. So what do we have now? We have only show the tables that are related with the customer table. And when I say related, it means that they contain a, in metadata, it already contains the information how to link that table in the metadata. Apart from, we have a bunch of profiles. Now this is too complicated for now, but just to remember, profile 1 is the list of all the tables and fields, okay, with its properties. And then we have profile 7, where we know what the relation table is and how, which fields are related, okay? So that's why we already know which tables can we add just using the metadata to the project, okay? So in metadata, we have the connections. If the connections and the relations are made within Navision, if Navision is developed as it should be, then we have that information already. Even if we don't have that information, we can always now look at this section over here, right? This is the condition between the two tables. So how do we join those tables? So let's say country, we join it to the customer table with code on the country table and country code on the customer table. Okay. So we get that information from metadata. Okay, show related tables, and we'll just look for a table that we would like to add. I don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point. Let's go with customer bank account, maybe. And as I click that, as my mouse is on the customer and my mouse is on the customer bank account, and I click add table, so this will be added to the project using a left outer join, and we'll already have the condition inside. So this is what we get from metadata. Now, if this wasn't true, if we wouldn't have that information in metadata, we can always come here and add a condition. Let's say this wouldn't be here. Okay, it will be like that. Okay, we'll just bring a customer bank account here. We would add a relation, add a customer, so join it to the customer table with left after join, and then we'll just have to add the condition here. So customer bank account, this will be a customer number, and on the customer side, it would be number. So that's the primary key. Okay, customer number, add, and that's it. So now we have took this even further. So we have added to the model a additional table that we could bring in, and as easily as it was to just add the field in later stages, it's the same way. If you just want to add a table, just use a show relate table function. Again, this is true most of the times that you'll have the condition here, but it also might be not. So that's why you would need some knowledge about how Navision is structured. Maybe mainly the primary key. Okay, so of course you join tables by primary keys, customer number to number. That's one-to-one relation, and it will always work. Good. So we'll go next. And now we can see the customer bank account was added to our list. And let's say from this list, we would need a, so we don't need a, so we need the customer number. So we will be able to join it with the customer. So that's the primary key, right? And we'll also do because we need customer bank account, we would use the IBAN code. So that's the actual a bank account of the customer. So we'll just click that. What we can do here, we can also bring in, we have the where condition that we can use. So this means that we can already filter some things out of it if we don't want it in the project. That's a little bit too complicated for now. So where condition, just remember that we could, or we could also transfer the field here using a custom SQL expression. So we also can do that here. Now this will all translate to the SQL script. And remember when I say there's no need for Management Studio anymore if we do this, this is exactly why I say that, because all the functionality that is there, we can also do it here. Now, so we have a bank account number. And again, if we scroll down, we have it here. Again, we'll use the customer international bank account number. And we'll just go next. Now, an additional functionality that we skipped over the last time is hierarchies. So in the reports, you can, of course, add just the fields that we have added before, customer by itself, customer postcode by itself, okay? But we can also join everything together in hierarchies, and I will show you how this reflects in the report. So this hierarchy contains three attributes. One is country, one is city, and one is customer. Okay, country, city, customer. This is no different than just building a pyramid from the already existing attributes that we have on the dimension, right? The attributes that we have here, we can build a hierarchy out of them. And since we have a new field that we would like to use, we would say here, add hierarchy. It would say bank account number, okay, customer. And we would insert a new level. On the first level, we would say, okay, we need that customer bank account number. Again, we'll have the new level, and we'll just select the customer. Okay, is everybody following? Just wait for a minute. Good. Of course, everywhere through the application, you'll see a T button over here. Okay, that stands for translations. Now, you can translate this particular attribute or a hierarchy or element within the analysis database for the customer. If they are not using English, you can use any language possible. Now, I don't have many languages here because these are the ones that are in the demo database. But if the customer has a different language, then then you can translate this to another language, so they would see it in their local language if necessary. And this T is shown throughout the application. So whatever you see T, each element can be translated everywhere, even through the attributes and the custom attributes and so on. So speaking about custom attributes, you have seen that we already have some, not just attributes that are coming from Navision directly. So there's no transformation here. There's just a country name or a customer name or a customer number or whatever. We can also do a custom attribute, which would effectively join the two fields together. So customer number plus a customer name. So what is the consequence of this? If we go again to Excel, I was using the customer attribute, okay, but I will not use it anymore. I'll just show you this. Sorry, build to customer. We can have a customer number. So this is the primary field. Customer name. So this is still a separate field. Again, I'll go to design and build a tabular layout. Or what we do is join the two attributes in the custom attribute section, right? To join the number and the name together. Okay, and this will form a customer attribute. And you see here, it is just joined together. This is all for easy reporting. Okay, but we talked about the custom attribute, and we talked about the new hierarchy that we have created, and that's basically it. We'll go next. Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Sorry, I cannot hear you.
Can you please go back to 5-dimension hierarchies? I got a question there.
Okay, no problem. Also, just a quick note, you can go to edit and then move through the steps. But if you see on the left, if you select dimension, you can already go directly to dimension hierarchies if necessary. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
And so when I go to event customer, I think the pop-up menu doesn't have the customer IBAN for me.
What do you have? Did you rename? Did you just have the, it is in line with what you decided on the name on the previous step. Okay, so if you have customer, so if you go one step back and then search for it. So where is it? It's probably all the way at the end.
Okay.
Okay, it's probably just says IBAN, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then here on this list, you will also probably have IBAN. And now that you have changed it to customer, you will see customer IBAN. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good, no problem. Like I said, you had the menu on the left, so you can basically switch through the menu here as well. If you just like to edit hierarchies here, you can switch here. Or edit attributes, switch here, no problem. Or you can use the next button, which is a more logical way to go, at least at the beginning. Okay, so we have the new hierarchy, and again, we'll use the update now function. Now, important to remember, before when I explain to you what we are doing here, I use the save button and I use the generate button. Okay, so this will just save the wizard file, remember? Okay, the wizard file. And generate will generate all the rest of the files. But if we use the update now and just click update now, it's all done for you. It is saved, it is generated, okay, and it will be deployed and processed. Okay, so if you're doing some work and don't like to, deploy right away, you'll have multiple dimensions to edit. You will just click Save button, so save the properties, right? So it doesn't, you don't lose anything that you've made, and then you can generate or update now later on. But if you click Update now, it will be saved, it will be generated, and changes will be applied to the project. Okay, and that's pretty much managing dimensions. It's not that big of a deal once you looked at it, right? But before, I need to get all the bases covered before, so you now know where do we get that information on the first screen? Where do we get those fields? How do we know? How to use them? Okay, and what are the connections or relations between the tables and so on. So that all comes from metadata, and you needed to hear that before we went into this. So I hope now you're a little bit less confused about the concept we did before, and all the concept talking that I did before, and now you can see how we can utilize it in BI4 Dynamics. So if you're still unsure about how something works, just let me know now, okay? And we'll go through it again.
I wanted to ask about hierarchies.
Hierarchies, yeah.
If you could explain again what they're used for.
Okay, sorry. This was just something that I was meaning to say. So now that we already have that, so I have updated now, and this was done. Now we can go back to Excel, and we can see in Excel we have this attributes, right? The building blocks, and then from these blocks we build hierarchies. Okay. I'll do another Excel sheet here. I'll just put everything outside. What I will actually do is also, okay, I'll just use a hierarchy now. So country, city, and customer. So this will do exactly, okay, I'll build the same thing. I'll build the same thing with attributes as I'm building now with the hierarchy. Okay, so we have two exact tables here, okay? I'll get rid of the hierarchy and I'll try to build it manually. So in this hierarchy, we have a country, city, and customer. Okay, let's look for the country attribute, put it in rows. Same thing, but you have a plus button here, which you can expand on, okay? So I have a button here which expands all, but I think you can find it on data and show details. So that's something that you can do. You'll use that a lot. So you can put it here as well. Again, data. Sorry, you have to be on the table, and then data and show and hide fields. You can right-click this and add to quick access toolbar. Okay, I'll just wait for a second. If everybody was done, I'll just continue building this. So here we have a hierarchy. So I press the plus button and it put me in, and it gave me the city as well. Okay, and then if I do that again, it will show me the customer. Okay, this is called hierarchy. So you only need to add one element to the report, as opposed to if you build this manually, you would have a country, and I would add another attribute which would be city, and then another one which is customer, and will essentially arrive to the same exact thing. But you can see in Excel, show field list, this one is using a hierarchy, and this one is using 3 separate attributes that are joined in the hierarchy on the first table. So today we'll only focus, like I said, on the dimensions, and then we'll move forward tomorrow. Yeah, that's a really good question. So so each time we went into the dimension, we've added a bit of complexity to it, right? So the first time we just moved through it, and then the second time we did the, we added a new table and created a new hierarchy. Now we'll just check the rest of the features that are available here on the wizard, on the dimension wizard. Okay, so again, if I'll go to edit dimension, we'll just go through everything that we offer here. Now, okay, let's start slowly. Here in the upper left corner, you will see source schema, which is called stage. Now, we know everything that we built so far is coming from stage tables. That are, of course, those are Navision tables, which are reflected in our staging part. So the schema for it is stage, as seen in the management studio, of course. So if we go down, these are the stage tables. Okay. Now, for us, for BF Dynamics, or not for us for as a company, but for us as a product and as the way that the code generator works, it doesn't really matter what the table is when we're joining it. So it can be any table from any schema. Of course, we have used stage tables because it's the easiest, but we can use any other tables as well. Okay, any other tables available here. And why is this important? Here in Dimension, we would probably not use any other tables here, but what if the customer has a different source of data that is not Navision? Then it will not come into the staging tables, right? It will probably come, if they import it into our data warehouse, they would come under different schema name. It will say import dot some table, okay? And we could add that as well. So if we have it in the data warehouse, then from there on, we treat it as it would be a stage table. Okay, so the source can be different, and we could add this to the model as well. So also outside sources. Now you don't need to do this now. It's just important to remember that you can filter on the schema as well, right? Stage, setup, dimensions, and so on. Now, it doesn't make sense here because these are simple dimensions, but you could use any other schemas. Okay, next option, extensions. As you know, in BC 17, now we'll go into we'll go into this now. Let me just explain what the difference is when I say extensions. So before, okay, let's divide this Navision versions into two sections. So before extensions and after extensions. And I think extensions came in with version 11. Okay, so that's Navision 2018. And what are extensions? Let me show you. So if you browse the tables here, you don't have to do this by your own. You just need to watch here. Now, take a look at the structure of the table here. I will filter the tables again by customer. Okay, and we have a customer table. It is simple, DBO, this is the company name, and this is the customer table. Okay, and in here we have fields. So in this versions of Navision, if a customer would require a new field on the customer dimension, they would say, okay, our Navision partner, Navision developer, just develop a new field and you will list it into the customer table. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. In recent versions, the BC versions, it's done a little bit differently. So again, we're on the customer table. Okay, but you see the structure of the name here is a bit different, right? We have the customer table, but we have this string after it. Okay, this is something called extensions. So instead of just putting the field on this table, on the customer table, and this means, so this is the same everybody, this is on every table, this string here, because 437 db0, whatever it is, it means main application. So it comes with the out-of-the-box product. Now, when you try to add the field in this version, you will not add it to the to this table, but you will create another custom table with a different string here, and this will effectively extend the customer table with another field. Let me try to find such a table. It's not on the customer, but let's try to find it. Maybe on item. Okay, item. Yeah, there we go. So that's a nice example. So again, we're seeing the string 437. So this is the base application, right? But we're seeing another item table here, which has a different string. Okay, so it means the fields were not added into the main table, but another table was created, an extended table. So this is what they're called extensions in BC. Okay, and if we check the columns here, so they have added, of course, a extended table, which has the primary key number. So this is the item number, the same primary key we'll have on the lead item tables. Okay, item number. Good. And then this table was extended for another field. And this field only says has value forecast. Don't focus on the content right now. It is what it is in the Kronos International, but it can be any other field here. So to recap, instead of putting new fields on the lead item table, a new table gets created automatically, and it is called a extended table. Okay. Now, extensions as a whole, I'll just go here and click extensions. So this is what I was talking about before. So the 437 string that we saw is the base application, but then we have extensions. Okay. And when I say extensions, I'm looking at sales and inventory forecast, for instance. Okay. In this extension, we can have many tables that are extended. Okay, not only item, but some other tables as well. And we can search for that extension tables as well. So if I write here, I'll just close this down. And if I write here forecast, forecast, okay, item forecast extension. Okay, what I did here, I have a list of extensions, and then I just wrote the forecast. Okay, so it belongs to that extension. So item forecast extension. Good. I can add that table. Sorry, I'll just move into the item. Okay. And I still have that because I filtered it before. So item forecast extension, I will add that table. Okay, and it seems we don't have a relation here. Okay, so we'll just add it manually. We'll put it on the item table, and we'll condition it to has the condition on the item number. So this is the primary key we have observed in the table. So, right, number, and then on item, the same item number. Okay, and we can see that this is exactly this table because we know it has sales forecast field in it. So we go here and build that condition. So item number to item number, click add. Okay, and then we have now added a extended table. So these are the extensions. Is everybody clear on that? On the concept on how extensions work? Need some additional information? No? Okay. So, just to recap, in older Navision versions, you have added fields to the same table. In the newer versions, an extended table is created. Okay, extended table is created, and you have that information here. So again, if I'll go next and deselect everything here, just leave the item forecast information, which should see that has sales forecast section. Okay, so we'll leave this in for now. So this is extension, and the last field here is just the search field, so you can search for item table or any other table that includes the item word in it. Okay, so it's just a search table. Now, in addition to that, we have a properties here. Now, this is something that you would not use a lot, but it's just important for you to remember that we have an option to use a distinct function on one on the dimension, or use a column store index. Now, this is a more technical stuff, but the column store index will make dimension work a little bit faster. So that comes into play with really huge customers that we have that has a lot of items, like retailers that have millions of different items. So it would make the processing a little bit faster, but by default is this property is turned off. Now this is the properties. We have added the forecast. If we go next, so now we come into the section where Jan made a question here. So data warehouse versus cube. So what's the difference? So you can have a attribute in the cube, so it will show up in Excel, okay? Or you can just switch that off, not the item number because it's a primary key, we don't want that. But, for the unit price, let's say, or let's say customer name. Let's say customer name. Just a second. Sorry, not the customer. This is the item number and item description. Okay, we have description here. So you would check the cube section if you would want the attributes to show into the reports. If you don't want them to show in reports, you have two options. The first one is you can just uncheck it from here and you'll only use it for data warehouse. Now, why would you only use it on data warehouse? Because you could effectively just use this for calculating something else. Well, not the description, but maybe the, let's say, cost. Okay. So you have a standard cost less direct cost. Let's say you will only use that to calculate some other fields, and you don't want to see it in the cube. So you only need to bring it to the data warehouse. So if you check this box, it will come into stage and into data warehouse, but not on cube. So not in the tabular analysis database. And if you check this box, it will come all the way to the cube. Yeah, is that clear?
Can you go to the second step for a second, please?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Good. So everybody clear on that? So data warehouse versus the cube. Jan, does this answer your questions?
I'm not even sure when I asked that.
Oh, sorry. Did you ask that or somebody else? Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm clear.
Oh, sorry, Rakesh. Sorry. Sorry, Jan. Jan, you're the one with the questions all the time. So sorry for that.
Well,
Yeah.
I can give you another question. I'm not entirely sure what cube stands for, or how should I envision a cube.
The cube is basically a analysis database. We still say cube because we still support dual functionality. And when I say dual functionality, analysis database can be in two, how should I say, two options on analysis database. So one could be tabular mode. There are two deployment modes. It's called deployment mode. Yeah, two deployment mode. One is a tabular. Okay, when information comes into tables, that's why tabular. And the other one is multidimensional. Let me just search for it. I think it's MD, so multidimensional. Yep, where the information comes in form of cubes. Okay, so that's where it comes from. This name. We can change it, of course, but we still support kind of a dual functionality for multidimensional analysis database as well. So these are cubes divided by modules that we have selected, sales, purchase, receivables, payables, and so on, as opposed into tabular model when every element is just a table, regardless what it is. If it's a dimension or a fact table, it's just a table. It's just it's a deployment mode, different deployment mode of analysis services. Okay.
Right.
Good. That's that. Rakesh, are you okay with this?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good, perfect. Okay, so data warehouse versus cube, that's it. So if we decide not to put less direct cost into the cube, it will not show up here, right? The last one that we have added is the sales forecast number. Okay, if we include it in cube, yeah, it should show up here. Yeah, item less direct cost, and it's here. Okay, that's the difference. Item. Okay, going back just to see if we missed anything. Of course, you have other options here. You can just show selected fields if needed to. We talked about the where condition, so you can implement a filter on the whole dimension. This is not on the common dimensions, but usually when you build a new dimension, we'll also do that in a second. Okay, so we'll use the where condition there. And we also have a preview button just to see how everything translates to the, to the SQL script. Now, this is not useful for everybody. It's just to see if you have done everything correctly, especially if you have used a custom SQL expression functionality where you can transfer or cast a specific field to be shown as something else, or do some calculations here or whatever. Let's say, I don't know, one of the fields would be time here. It's not in here, but it's another dimension. It would be time, and you would need to show that as, and originally it's in milliseconds, but you would like to show that in seconds, so you do just divide it by or multiply it by something, right? So that's something that you can do in custom SQL expression. During the training, we'll probably see one field or many fields that were that we used the custom SQL expression functionality on. Okay. Good. If we move next, so now we see it here. in this section, right? Less direct cost, but we also have another functionality here, which you say visible in cubes or not. So let's search for a field that is not visible. Okay. And this means that it will still be on the cube, but it will not be visible on the report. And why would you want that? Let's say you won't just use unit price per se, just as a standalone. You need to combine it with something else. And we'll look at the custom attribute section when we see that we have item unit price. Okay, this sounds familiar because we have item already here. This is probably item number. And we have a unit price, which is here, but it's not visible in the cube. Okay. And let's see what we did with this custom attribute. So we basically made a string of a item. So the unit price will be shown in this form. So what happens here? Probably this original unit price is in a weird format, which means probably they have a lot of maybe decimal places, like say 10 decimal places, and nobody wants to see that in the report. We can also check that, of course. Item unit price. Let's check that. That's a good idea. SQL 17. This one, item. Let's search for item. Unit price. There we go. It's in decimal, which has 20. It's 3820. And it allows even in a vision to have, I don't know, 10, 12 decimal places. You don't want to see that in the report. So what we did here is exclude it from to be visible in the cube, this particular one, and we use a custom attribute to transform it a little bit. So it will give us 20, the number of 20 long. Of this, it will only be 2 decimal places that will be rounded up from this 10 decimal places that we have here. Okay, so that's the functionality of visible in cube or not. Relation, you don't need to worry about that at the moment. Good. So that's that. You can add a new attribute. You can remove an existing attribute if needed. And that's it. Okay, then again, we're at hierarchies, and that's the end of it. Okay, so we have a couple of minutes left. Let's see what happens when we create a new dimension. Okay. So of course, sometimes it will be necessary to create a new dimension for some customizations or whatever the customer has, and it will pretty much be the same experience as you had so far. So I'll just use a generic name here. Maybe in the next session we can have a concrete example of this, but I'll use a custom dimension. Okay. A custom dimension is added to the list, and then we'll go into edit. So this is now empty. Okay, no module here. And I'll just select a table. Doesn't really matter which one. Bin is okay. We already have a bin probably dimension, but that's okay because we'd name it differently, and we'll add a table. So the table is added. And this is, you can of course build a dimension from this one, only bin. Now you see that already some fields are checked. This is of course, this is the primary key. Yeah. And we can just build on that, add new attributes, and it can also have the company ID and data source ID, which we add automatically. Now, if we want to build a more complex dimension, I will just show related tables, and I already see which tables are related to this particular table. Okay, so let's just select one. doesn't really matter which one, location maybe, add a table. Okay, and it is located by default bin code and code location code. Okay, but in addition to that, we also have two relations. We also have another relation. This comes from the metadata again. So this might be correct. It might not be correct. I don't know. I'm not a Navision developer. I don't know the content out of it, and you will probably not know the content of Navision. So you will need someone on the other side to tell you. So we will tell them we need a clear one-to-one relation. So the primary keys and everything, okay, for this to work. So I don't know if this works or not. Okay, no idea. But since the metadata has given me this option, I'll just stick to it for now. But later on, we'll see if it's correct or not. Okay, so I'll go on the next step. So we have location code, okay? But the code doesn't tell us much. It can tell us something, but the location code could be everything. So we need a name after it. So we'll also add a location name. So we'll have the bin code, okay, and we'll have the bin description, right? Maybe we can see if it's empty or not. Why not? This is, a useful information. And in addition to the location code, we'll also add a location name. Not anything else. We could use it, but let's keep it simple for now. Okay, now this is a Boolean field, of course, and this is a 0-1 option. Okay, so it's an option field. Either it's empty or it's not, right? So you only have that information. Now let's build a dimension, and we only want to show that at the bins that are full or empty or not empty, whatever you want to call it. So I will use a where condition. I will use a column that is empty. Okay, I will add the column and I will say, okay, just show me where condition where bin is empty is true. And I will add that. Okay, everybody follows it. Hopefully so. And I'll go next and I'll define some other things. So location code. So this is not location code per se, but it's bin location code. Sorry, bin. So we'll know exactly what we're talking about. We have the bin code. We have the bin description, and we have bin empty. Okay, this will be yes, no. And location. So, even here, if we, on the previous step, if we decided to show you only only the empty bins, we actually don't even need this. We don't even need to know if it's empty or not, because it will only present the ones that are empty. Okay, and then we'll have location name, bin location name, sorry, bin location name. And we'll not deal with custom attributes because we're a little bit short of time. So we'll just go next. Okay, add a hierarchy. No, we won't add any hierarchies for now. We'll just go next. And then for the custom, I could also use this as a bin, right? This was my mistake, but I should rename this bin. What I can actually do is use a translation here. So for the English language, 1933 Spanish English. Okay, it's already it's bin. Okay, it's already picking up the translation from the lead table. Okay, so it will show up as bin. Don't worry about it. Save. Good, and I will do update now. This will update the dimension. Yeah. Okay, deploy has finished. This will apply the changes to analysis database, and then it will process. And at the end, in our project, we'll be able to see it, the bin dimension. It was already deployed on the data warehouse, so let's check that. Not here, but here in the, let's refresh the databases. Okay, and since we are generating the scripts, right? Okay, it was already inserted. And again, this is the same procedure as with existing dimension. We build the script. So if we'll go to dimension, you will see that custom dimension here. Okay, and if we'll look at the load procedure, we'll do the view. Okay, we can see what we have defined and where does it come from. From stage bin, we have added another table, left outer join for the location. And we also have a where condition, which tells us bin is empty. Okay, so everything that we did reflects in the code. We'll get into that just in a bit. Okay, so that was done. If I go here, I should be able to see the custom dimension, and I should be able to see the fields that we selected. Okay, good. So that is building a new dimension. The same thing as we did before. It's just building a new one as opposed to what we already have in the custom project. Now, talking about scripts a little bit. So this is the last part we'll do today. We'll actually open the create table here. And this is done. This is generated automatically. And I'll show you how it works. Okay. I'll just open all three. So the first off, we are creating a table, a new table with the fields that we have chosen. Now, our application already knows if it's an index column, so if it's a primary key, or if it's a content column, which is just give us content. So we divide that for, to be easier observed later on. So we have location code and bin code. We have in the index column, of course, company ID and data source ID. That is added automatically. For the content column, we have added description and bin empty and location name. And that's it. We're adding some indexes as well. So this is done automatically. Now we only have a table now created. Okay, only table is created, empty table. If we go on the next procedure, this is the view. So this will tell the table, so which data to fill. This will tell, of course, which data to fill into the table. So it's just a view. So for now, it will just tell it which table to use. And again, like I said, we'll use the bin stage table and left outer join on stage table. And the where condition, everything that we already seen. Now, this is the view, okay, only the view. Excuse me. So this is the view, and this is kind of a temporary thing, right? It only tells you which information do we want. And then on the last procedure, on the load procedure, okay, this is a bit more complicated, but not really. It will just tell you. So we will insert into dim custom dimension. So this is the table that we have created. It will insert those fields, the same fields that we have selected. But where would it come from? It will come from the view. Okay, it will come from the view. So on the view, we'll have the data, and then on the load procedure, it will take that view and insert the data into the table that we have created. Okay. If that's not really clear, we'll talk about the scripts also in the later section of the training. Now, one last thing. Our wizard is powerful. let's say, but it's not almighty. You cannot do everything with it. There are really complex situations that you need to do some custom SQL code. Okay, this is where the data developers comes in. For the 99% of our customer, this is perfect. They won't need anything else. But in case they need something more complex, like subqueries and so on, everything that you can do in SQL Server, then we have put in place a system which incorporates a custom SQL code with the one that it's already generated. And these are called placeholders. So if I can show you the green lines here, which says automatically generated code on view, begin, and then end. And then when it says from, you can even, there's another placeholder, okay? And then another placeholder on the where condition. So what happens here? Everything within those placeholders is generated automatically from the wizard, okay? Anything that is placed outside those placeholders will still be in the scripts when we generate. So everything that we have added, everything that we can add here will be maintained in the scripts. Okay, just to show you an example, let's say we had a where condition here and we used it within the within the application. Sorry, I had some distractions here in the in the office. Okay, let's just check that. That's the last thing. So where condition, we did it here. But let's say we need to filter on another thing. Okay, and it will be on location name. Okay, on location name, let's say we want to see bins from a specific or from location code. Okay, location code. Okay, let's do this. Sorry, I'll go here and I'll write another line of code and I'll say bin. Location code. This is this field over here. Okay. And this should be equals, no, I don't know, US. Okay, so location code, let's say it's US and that's it. Let's save this script. Okay, sorry, I need to open it administrator mode. Okay, let's save it. So it was just saved, right? 1302. So just now, as opposed to the other scripts that were generated before. So now we have this line of code inside. Okay. What we'll do now is go into here and just add we'll remove the where condition on this one. We'll remove it and I'll show you why. Go next, and we'll follow this one closely now. Okay, remember we had two where conditions, one within the placeholders and one outside the placeholders. And we'll do a generate. Okay, let's just wait. This was successfully generated. When I open this one, okay, see, they're still inside, but I need to reload those scripts. Okay, only this one was deleted, and this one, which is outside the placeholders, will remain in the script, which means that as you know, we can combine both customizations, both from wizard files and from something that we need to write outside that we don't necessarily be able to do within the wizard functionality. And that's it. So you only have to remember those placeholders, and that enables us to build on the existing generated SQL code to write anything else that we basically want.